Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the June 18th meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Seeing all three commissioners present, we will start the meeting and call to order. I'll ask to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's go with Brian, who's usually busy with the camera.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have a number of announcements this week and resolutions and contracts. We're going to hear from our coroner, members of our HHS staff, and members of the Office of Drug and Alcohol, as well as the Office of Innovation Strategy and Performance. I wanted to start by acknowledging the horrifying attacks on Minnesota lawmakers this past Saturday. There were two legislators who were, shot by an assassin and a would-be assassin. Unfortunately, one woman, this former Speaker of the Minnesota State House, Melissa Hortman, was killed, as well as her husband, Mark Hortman. A state senator, John Hoffman, and his wife, Yvette, were also shot multiple times and wounded. Unfortunately, not killed, but was an extraordinary, tragic event. And it's important for us to recognize that this kind of violence has no place in our society, in our country. There were two other lawmakers who were visited that night by the would-be assassin. One was at home and the other was saved because police had gone to their home after the first shooting. It's important for us to take a moment, I think, to share our thoughts, our condolences with the families of Rep. Hortman and Senator Hoffman, and also all of the residents in Minnesota, because when these things happen, it's an attack on the individual, it's a heinous crime, it's an attack on their family, and it's also an attack on democracy itself. I'd like to share a quote from the children of Melissa and Mark Hortman, and they shared that hope and resilience are the enemy of fear. Their parents lived their lives with immense dedication to their fellow humans, and that the best way to honor their parents' memory is to do something, big or small, to make your community just a little better for someone else. So I'd like to take a moment of silence in honor of Melissa and Mark Hortman. Thank you. So I understand, and we all understand here, that these are very difficult times in our country in terms of the division, in terms of some of the actions that are creating an atmosphere of fear in our communities, particularly here in Norristown. And there were some really terrifying, infuriating and really un-American actions that we've seen in recent weeks, whether it be at the hands of those who are ostensibly supposed to enforce the law, masked individuals who will either take members of our community off the street from a grocery store, or tackle a United States senator who's doing their constitutional responsibility to oversee the executive branch, or handcuffing just yesterday a New York City elected official, the sitting controller of the nation's largest city, who was detained without charges. Locally, many of us are aware that we've seen a dramatically increased presence of federal immigration enforcement across the country, and as well as here in Pennsylvania. It was reported an 80% increase in the last few weeks. And I have concerns that, there may be incidents that there could be a confrontation here in Montgomery County in the ways that we've seen around the country. And when we look at some of these incidents where the judge was arrested or a U.S. senator is arrested, thankfully no one was harmed. But it's incredibly important that we educate our employees, members of our community, to act in a way in interacting with federal agencies that does not create further harm than what is already happening. So there's a number of things that we're doing here in the county that I think are important to report, that are centered at protecting public safety and the well-being of every member of our community in this current moment. And I want to thank Nelly Jimenez Arevalo, our Director of Immigrant Affairs, who started about 90 days ago, who advised us on a policy and a position that we took 30 days ago publicly in a way that no elected officials in the Commonwealth that we're aware of have done. And part of our position in Montgomery County is that we have to put public safety first, and we have to put our communities first. So we outlined that part of that is ensuring that all due process rights and the privacy and dignity of every individual is protected. So we're taking a number of steps to do that, and I'm going to outline those. We're also making sure that we show members of our immigrant community that we're here to support them, and at the same time inform both members of our staff and the community that there are laws in place that will be enforced, and we are going to support due process. But the law is what the law is, and unless we change it federally, that's the position we're in today. So within our authority, I wanted to outline a few things that we've done. First, we appointed Nelly just 90 days ago to be the county's first ever Director of Immigrant Affairs, to help advise on policies across the board. Second, recognizing that there are 100,000 members of immigrant communities here, immigrants actually, there's many more who are members of communities, 100,000 immigrants in Montgomery County. We've taken a number of steps to support members of our communities across the board in different sectors. So one of them, I want to recognize our Commerce Department that hosted a 5-week in-person training aimed at aspiring entrepreneurs in Norristown to launch their own businesses. And that helped members of the community walk through instructions and regulatory compliance, business planning, and operational setup for new businesses. That was delivered in both Spanish and English. And we worked together with the Norristown Small Business Assistance Center, Sherwin-Williams Business, and the Small Business Development Center at Widener University, as well as the Commerce Department. We've also last month, as we noted, co-authored an op-ed that outlined specifically that the county will decline to sign up for any 287G agreement with ICE. There are 17 jurisdictions in Pennsylvania that have signed those agreements, and there are 3 more that are pending. We will not be one of them. Third, we launched Montgomery County's first Immigrant Resource Center webpage to centralize all resources in multiple languages. Fourth, through the Recovery Office, Montgomery County is now investing $7 million to improve access to essential services throughout Norristown through the Community Centers project. We're providing several grants to multiple facilities throughout the municipality, benefiting all residents, including members of our vibrant immigrant communities, by bringing services closer to where people live and making them accessible. Fifth, we've allocated $5.25 million to the API Community and Wellness Center through the Recovery Office, which will provide cultural specific care to the API community and also follow through on some of the results of our public health study, which showed a need for these kinds of services in the healthcare space. Similarly, six, we've allocated $4.5 million to renovate a community center to expand health and human services, specifically in Norristown, which predominantly and disproportionately affects the Latino community here. Our HHS Office of Aging Services, 7, has funded 2 multicultural senior centers that help older adults in immigrant communities with access to digital navigation classes, naturalization assistance, and health education. 8, our voter services has worked to create voter guides in 8 different languages, as well as help individuals who seek to run for office from communities that have not been represented. 9, Nellie is working with our commissioner's office to create a multicultural immigrant commission. Will serve as an advisory body to her as Director of Immigrant Affairs, which will help us promote safety, equity, and community trust. And 10, this morning, our COO sent out a policy regarding county interactions with federal agencies related to immigration. It details how our employees would not share information with federal agencies unless required by law and or accompanied by a judicial warrant. So this ensures that we maintain our commitment to the rule of law, to due process, and protecting the privacy and dignity of every individual. So I want to just thank Nellie again for all of the hard work she's done in just 90 days. This is after many, many times. So please, I want to ask everyone to give her the recognition for pulling this together. Thank you. I think it's important for us to share to all of the community members that we see you, we recognize you, and we know that Montgomery County is an inclusive, diverse place that welcomes people from everywhere, and want to make sure that everyone has the chance to be treated equally and respectfully in our communities. So with that, I'm going to move on to a few different issues. Today, we're going to be making historic investments, continued investments in public safety and in our district attorney's office. We're going to be voting on 7 new positions in the DA's office, which would allow the DA to ensure staffing at a greater number of preliminary hearings in the county. It will also create a position for consumer protection, which we've talked about for some time in the last year and a half, and will be created should we vote on it this meeting. So this ensures, I think this ensures that we're going to be able to protect the Sixth Amendment right to a speedy trial here in Montgomery County, and ensure that our DA's office has the resources it needs to follow through on ensuring public safety. So second, I want to recognize that we had a budget meeting, a delegation meeting with the State House delegation. So I want to thank all of the leaders who came, Representative Bradford, Leader Bradford, Delegation Chair Rep. Webster, Representative Hanbidge, Meligari, Cerisi, and Sanchez, who were able to join us in person. We spent a good chunk of time talking about SEPTA funding, and the delegation understands how important it is for southeastern PA to see SEPTA fully funded to ensure that we don't cut the service of the regional lines. We had a good conversation about the need to actually extend those lines to Pottstown and to the western parts of the county. And, we have the Schuylkill River Rail Authority. We're going to need a lot of funding for that, federal funding as well as state funding. So we're going to continue to advocate for mass transit. And I'm thankful that we had a conversation with our reps on that, as well as issues of housing and a number of state funds that we're seeking for the county. So yesterday we observed Juneteenth, and the reason we're having this meeting on a Wednesday, we all typically have these on the Thursdays because tomorrow's Juneteenth, which commemorates the day in 1865 when the final enslaved Americans learned of their freedom more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. On Monday, we raised the Juneteenth flag outside the courthouse. Pastor Mitchell from Salem Baptist, he I think, very thoughtfully pointed out that, we raised this flag next to the American flag, which backs up and guarantees the promise. And, we had a number of our staff read the Emancipation Proclamation. I think it was really a powerful moment, reminder of how, that promise of freedom was one that required the full force and weight of federal power to enact. And, I'll pass it on to my colleagues to provide, additional comments. But we're also looking forward to July 4th and Flag Day, which we have a proclamation to recognize, which is on the 14th. But we're celebrating America's 249th birthday, which is this is our last meeting before the holidays, so I want to just wish everyone a happy 4th. There's going to be a lot of exciting things happening around the county in places like Glenside, Narberth, Norristown, Eagleville, Pottstown, to name a few. I was glad to see that the White Marsh Township Parade is continuing, and there were a number of measures that are now being addressed to ensure security there. And just personally, and my family's been going to that parade forever. My wife has photos from when she was a kid in front of Yield Ale House, and excited to see the parade continue. So just glad to see that that's happening. So we're going to take a moment to present a proclamation in honor of Flag Day, and I'll just read a second from this, and we'll welcome up Dennis Miller from our Office of Veteran Services, who is a retired commander in the U.S. Coast Guard, to accept the proclamation. But this was first proposed during the Civil War in 1861 as a Union rallying cry. Flag Day was later proclaimed by President Woodrow Wilson in 1916 to commemorate when the Second Continental Congress formally adopted the Stars and Stripes design for the United States flag. And following that proclamation, as well as the activism of individual Americans in the 19th and 20th centuries, Pennsylvania actually became the first state to declare Flag Day as a state holiday in 1937. So we as commissioners will recognize that and proclaim June 14th as Flag Day. So come on, Dennis and Ellen. Thank you.
Should all be up here. It's all our flag.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
All right. With that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Winder.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner Marquisha. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Doing well? Good.
I'd also like to take a moment to react to the Minnesota shooting this past weekend. I was sitting at home with my little guy when the news came over the television screen. And as you can imagine, as an elected official, one who every day comes to work to serve the residents of Montgomery County, you can imagine that that's nerve-wracking. The shooting of lawmakers is a horrifying reminder of the dangerous times that we're all living in. Political violence has no place in our democracy, but we cannot allow fear, hatred, or extremism to undermine our institutions or threaten the lives of those who serve the public. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims, their families, and the people of Minnesota. Let this be another wake-up call. We must condemn violence in all forms and recommit ourselves to building a country where we resolve our differences with courage, compassion, and civility, not with weapons or threats. So my prayers continue to be with the family. In addition, I'd like to pay respects to a former U.S. Army sergeant from our community who sadly passed away last week. Walt Hartnett was a highly decorated veteran who devoted his life to supporting and advocating for his fellow veterans. He held many positions with the VFW and also worked as a Veteran Affairs caseworker for Congresswoman Dean. He passed away on Monday, June 9th. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family during this difficult time, and let's pause for a moment of silence in the honor of Walt. Thank you. I do want to highlight that Montgomery County has resources and support to any veteran that may be in need. Dennis, thank you for your leadership of our Office of Veteran Services. I know you all are always there to answer the call. And to any veterans who may be in crisis, they can receive immediate help by calling 988 and pressing 1. In the spirit of community, one of the most rewarding parts of serving as commissioner is the opportunity to visit towns across Montgomery County and connect with residents from all walks of life. When I first ran for commissioner, although Montgomery County has been home for more than 4 decades, I didn't realize how big Montgomery County truly was. But over the last 2.5 years, I've had the honor of visiting a number of our municipalities. And this year I've made it my personal goal to spend more time in our municipalities, listening, learning, and building relationships with local leaders and members of the community. At the end of May, I spent the day in Pottstown, our second largest borough. The visit was beyond meaningful and productive on so many levels. It was a long day, I know, for our staff, but I thought it was absolutely necessary, and I want to thank the team for really working together to orchestrate a day that would allow me to realize the full essence of Pottstown. I know that many residents in Western Monco haven't always felt seen and heard by county government, and so my commitment to going on that visit was to change that. We had a full day of activities. I engaged with faith leaders, organizers, frontline service providers, and small business leaders. I joined a business walk that focused on women and minority-owned businesses. I had an opportunity to go to a thrift shop where a woman has been driving her business there, and I actually, Lee and I both made a purchase there, although my purchase was a little, should I say it? Little more expensive than yours. But somebody remind me of the name. Once Upon a Time, thank you. Once Upon a Time. And I was delighted to be there with the business owner and see how she's allowing people to have access to clothing and shoes and pocketbooks that they might not otherwise be able to afford. I was able to purchase something special for my wardrobe as well. In addition, we connected to an organization called the Force Coalition. It's a coalition of Black-owned businesses with the county's, and we connected them with the county's Commerce Department to support new trainings and resources for that community. During a community roundtable, we had honest conversations about housing, criminal justice, economic opportunity, and how we can continue to collaborate to ensure that everyone in Pottstown continues to thrive. I also took the chance to highlight some of the county's recent investments in the area. And I especially want to thank Denise Williams, who I've come to know over the last couple of years of Be Resilient, for hosting us. We wrapped up with an evening meet and greet where I just wanted to have an opportunity to connect with members of the community. And we hosted over 50 community members at the Carousel in Pottstown. I want to thank the Pottstown community for welcoming me, and especially Mayor Stephanie Henrich for being a great partner to us at the county. This was a fantastic launching pad for the work we'll collectively continue to do to ensure every municipality feels seen and heard. I also had an opportunity to tour the new transitional housing spaces at the Days Inn while I was in Pottstown. While I was there, I was approached by one woman who is currently living there, and her story was beyond powerful and impactful. I wanted to share a little bit of that with all of you today. This resident said that she cannot express how much this opportunity has meant to her. She was stuck, at a loss, and had no one to lean on. She did not even know what she needed, who to ask, or where to go. The county street outreach team was able to assign her a caseworker, offer shelter, and help her with the next steps to securing stability. With help from the county, she has come from having literally nothing to saving enough for a long-term rental deposit. And that conversation moved me so deeply, and we have so many of those stories coming out of this program and in Pottstown, and so many more stories that we'll learn about in the days, weeks, and months to come. This is just a gentle reminder that the work we do isn't just about policy or ideas written on paper. It's personal and it's life-changing. It's proof that when we as elected officials show up for people and care about the things that our friends and neighbors are struggling with, especially in their hardest moments, we can help those that are facing crisis, are housing insecure. We can help them find the stability that everyone in Montgomery County deserves. This is what it means to be a community. Finally, last week I had the opportunity to be a part of a legislative roundtable, and it was a steering policy committee hearing hosted by the House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries and Congresswoman Dean. It was a privilege to take a part of that discussion, and it was all focused on the rising cost of living in our country. And I was able to testify as a mother, as a caregiver, as a county commissioner, the challenges that our friends and neighbors are facing when it comes to food insecurity, housing instability, the rising cost of childcare. And it was great to be at the table, to be a part of that discussion, because it's one thing for our federal government to set policy, pass law. It's another thing to be here in our community and really understand the implications and impact of the work that we do and the policy that is coming out of Washington. So it was an invaluable moment for me, and I was proud to represent the community. And last but not least, we have another proud thing to highlight, another example of our community coming together. This time is to display incredible generosity and support for others. Each spring, the county hosts a spring cleaning supply drive to collect donations of essential toiletries, cleaning supplies, and hygiene products for families in need. This year, we received over 2,000 donations, almost double the donations that we received last year. On behalf of our most vulnerable families, I'd like to share gratitude to everyone who donated and all of the businesses, organizations, and offices who collected or donated supplies. Once again, this is another example of how Montco shows up for its friends and neighbors. And lastly, Commissioner Makisha talked about all the things that we're doing around supporting our immigrant communities. I won't belabor the point, but we've taken seriously, the concerns that many have had in Montgomery County around immigration and some of the challenges that we're seeing unfold in our communities. I just want to thank our broader county team, our internal team, our solicitor, our COO, our deputy COOs. It really takes, for us to do the things that we do at this dais in our offices, it really takes a true team. So thank you again to Nellie, but we also have a full county team that helps us work on these issues. So I want to thank all of them as well. That's it for me.
So it's been mentioned a few times now as far as what happened in Minnesota, and I think all of us have sat up here and talked about the dangerous rhetoric that's constantly being put out there against elected officials, and it's out there, it's everywhere, and it's causing a lot of angst, and it's coming from all parties. So I don't want to sit here and say one party versus another party. The rhetoric is terrible, and what we don't understand or people don't understand is words sometimes that's said or put out there. Other people take it and they look at it as having a different type of meaning, and then they feel like they need to act on that what they believe the meaning is. And so what happened in Minnesota was gross. It was disgusting. And as elected officials, it's unfortunate that we're in a role today where we have to be always looking over our shoulder. We did flag raising, Juneteenth flag raising the other day, and we were out in the corner of the courthouse. It was an amazing ceremony, but I couldn't help, as we were standing there with my back to, our backs to, to the streets, I couldn't help but constantly keep looking around to see if anybody was walking up or coming from somewhere or whatever it may be. And it takes away from why we're there or why we're there at any time, but it's unfortunate that as elected officials we have to be looking over our shoulder. And I hope that we all learn from what happened in Minnesota. And it has to stop. And it has to stop at the local levels, the state levels, and the federal level. So my heart goes out to the family that were impacted by this. And I hope, and I want to say that should be, yes, I do. So I hope that changes moving forward, and we don't have to have this conversation again. So with that, it was mentioned about, we have July 4th coming up. It's a great holiday. It's for us to remember what began in 1775. Even though next year is our 250th birthday, I think a lot of the celebration is going to be underway starting this year. And I want to remind everyone to stay safe. And if you're going to partake in shooting off fireworks, follow the directions and be safe out there, because we don't want anything to happen to anyone. And as mentioned, Commissioner Makisha said June 14th was Flag Day, and was also June 14th was also the 250th anniversary of our United States Army. So there was a lot of things that were going on around the county associated to Flag Day, and I was able to attend at the Elks Club in Pottstown a Flag Day ceremony, which all the Elks Clubs throughout the United States perform these ceremonies. and it was fun and to be part of it, to see as they went through the history of each of the flags and that. And at the end of the ceremony, we actually also retired a U.S. flag, a big flag. I think it flew there. It was probably 12 feet long and 8 feet wide or whatever. It was huge. So we all stood there and held it as through the ceremony at how it's cut up and improperly disposed of. So I was able to do that, participate in that. There was, during last week, also the week before, no, it was last week, a VFW up in Red Hill. I attended a flag ceremony where they once a year dispose of all American flags that are brought there to be properly disposed of. And again, they have a whole ceremony to how they go through and dispose of, I think it was hundreds of flags that have served their purpose. But it's great to be part of that process, to be there, go through it with the veterans, and how they take it very seriously of how the properly dispose of flags, American flags, as well as wreaths that were used at cemeteries and the flags that they put out at the grave site. So again, it was actually the first time I was attending an event like that, and I look forward to doing it again in the future. Talking about, I'm glad Commissioner Weiner was able to get up to Pottstown. I live in that area, so I'm up there regularly, but we also been working, as she mentioned, working with Pottstown Borough to open up a facility to help deal with the homeless situation that's in Pottstown by providing transitional housing as well as all the wraparound service necessary to help these individuals to get back on their feet or whatever it is. And part of all that, we're talking about doing this as an interim solution, and last Thursday there was a groundbreaking for a temporary housing shelter, full-time, that's going to be run by Beacon of Hope. This will be a permanent year-round shelter that will provide 45 single occupancy rooms for adults over 18 years old. They receive $1.3 million through the Montgomery County ARPA pandemic relief funds. It will be going to that project. And there, like I said, there will be 45 rooms available. So hopefully the way everything is working out with what we're doing up there now with providing housing for homeless I think we have about 120 people right now in the facility. There was, I think, close to 20 people. I know Kaylee was here. I don't know if she came back, but there was close to 20 people so far that have gone into the program and have been successfully brought into permanent housing and successfully in a program addressing whatever their issues are, if it's addiction or mental health. So it works. I'm glad that as far as Montgomery County, what we're doing throughout Montgomery County, this is one of the facilities that we've talked about. I know Commissioner Weiner took a lot of pride in working in Norristown facility that we're going to be opening. She was at, and I know she mentioned this before, attended the conditional use hearing in Norristown, so it's going to be another facility. So when it's all said and done with, when we get all of these facilities up and running, I think that we have successfully been able to take a major bite out of homelessness in Montgomery County. So that's a good thing. Let's see what else we got. June's always a big month of graduation, so I'd like to congratulate all the students across the county that are finishing up another school year and graduating, either from high school, middle school, pre-K. We can't forget our pre-K graduation. That's probably the most important one. Kindergarten, all the different graduations that occur, college graduations. All the kids, they deserve the recognition for all their hard work getting through whatever level they're at. So that's really great. to see that, and I want to congratulate them for everything. And let's see, there's there's what they call, it's called the Wall of Healing, or Healing. It came to Montgomery County 2 years ago, and there was a escort that started over in East Coventry and worked its way all the way through and ended up at Anderson Park in Upper Providence. It's actually coming back again this year, and the meeting point is going to be at Valley Forge Park, and there's going to be a route that's going to take the wall. For those that don't know what the Wall of Healing is, it's a replica of the Vietnam Wall Memorial in Washington. So it's a wall that goes all around the country, and usually by a week at a time, it gets set up for people to come and see that, a replica of the wall that you would see down in Washington. It has all the names and everything. It looks just like the wall, and they'll set it up in the park, and they'll have like a lot of different displays and all that with it. So it's going to come out. It's going to start at Valley Forge Park, and we're going to bring it all the way through. It's coming through Norristown down to Cobb and working our way. It's going to work its way up to Montgomery Township. There's going to be a lot of viewing points on the way. The route will be published, and I know it's going to be coming down probably around 10 a.m., between 9:30 and 10 a.m., right here on DeKalb Pike in Norristown. So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the escort, and it's going to be publicized everywhere to where the actual route will be, so it's something that you'd want to see. And if you have the time, go up to Montgomery Township. The wall will be assembled up there and be available for viewing for a few days. I think it's 3 days that it's set up there, and it's 24/7. And there's also, they ask for, and I think this is all being handled up in Montgomery Township, but they ask for volunteers, for people to be there, standing at the wall. So it's a very humbling and awesome thing to see. The escort, I'll actually be participating in the escort with a group of motorcycle enthusiasts, riders, and we're going to be gathering up at the park and riding our way through the streets of Montgomery County. And then finally, we talked about, there's policy changes to how we're dealing with immigration here in Montgomery County. There was a policy change that I got a first draft last night around 5 o'clock, and then I got a final this morning related to how we're going to be working with the county's going to be working with federal authorities. Most of that's written in the policy is pretty much already law, or that's in place, or operating procedures that are already in place by the county, but there's a few changes that I need to look into, and I need to look and compare that to the Immigration Reform Act that was signed by President Clinton several years ago, because there may be some conflicts as far as what's stated in that law and what the responsibilities are of federal authorities and enforcement of federal law when it comes to illegal immigration. So I'm going to be looking at that, and I'll have I'll decide where I'm at in the future, but I'm all for following the law. I've said it time after time, and like I said, a lot of what's written in this policy document is law, or already procedurally by law, so I don't have a problem with that, because whatever the law is, and if there's changes that need to happen in Washington to the law, then that's what has to happen. But until those changes are implemented or put in place, I will always stand in following specifically laws at all levels of our government. And I guess finally, I have the way to go winners for June. We have some of our employees that have gone above the call of duty, and we always like to recognize them, and I think some are in attendance this morning. But first up, we have Katie Kutz, who has a prevention program specialist in our HHS Department of Office and Drugs and Alcohol. Is Katie, are you here? Katie still here? Oh, there you are. She has fought to expand the offerings to both youth and their families in an effort to stop substance abuse before it happens. Katie has done so much to ensure her colleagues and the community partners are recognized and appreciated, including team building events and quarterly newsletter features. So thank you, Katie, for everything that you're doing for us. Next up, we have David Hahn. David, are you here? Oh, there you are. I thought I saw you down there. David is in our capital projects program. He's actually our capital projects program director on assets and infrastructure team. The capital projects department oversees many construction projects throughout Montgomery County, and David is in tune with the pulse of each. He keeps an open door policy, enables his project managers to make the necessary decisions to keep the project moving forward. So thank you, David, for everything that you're doing. Next, we have Melinda Anchita. I hope I said that right. A special projects coordinator in our commerce department. Melinda, is Melinda here? Melinda recently demonstrated exceptional leadership and dedication by organizing a job fair for employees affected by SPS Technologies fire earlier this year. Within a 2-week period, she successfully coordinated the event at Manor College, welcoming over 150 seekers and 32 different companies. So thank you, Melinda, for everything you're doing. And next we have Lisa Croman, is a district court clerk in District Court 38-1-25. Lisa, are you here? Nope. Okay. Lisa has demonstrated her willingness to learn and perfect the court process. She will go the extra mile to assist customers with the utmost respect and knowledge in the area of their concern. So thank you very much, Lisa. And then finally, we have Joe Sulzer, a region manager in our Parks, Trails, and Historic Sites Department. I don't think Joe's here today. Joe does a tremendous job doing whatever it takes to keep the public informed and happy about things that is in his region. So thank you, Joe, and congratulations to all of this month's Way to Go Monco winners. If you're here, come on up.
Not hard enough.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks. David, congratulations. Thank you.
Right here? All right. One. All right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Before we go on, Ben, do you want to just clarify that the first point in the policy is about ensuring compliance with federal and state law?
Yeah, the policy is clear about compliance in law, and I'll just say the solicitor's office has reviewed and approved it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the coroner's accreditation. Welcome to our coroner, Dr. Janine Darby.
Good morning, commissioners and guests. Morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Janine Darby, the Montgomery County Coroner, and I'm joined today by my senior leadership team. We have our Chief Deputy, Alex Balaki. We have our First Deputy Casey and our Office Manager, Program Director, Tabitha Martinez as well. So y'all want to stand up because this is about you as well. So thank you for giving us a few moments to share some exciting news with you and our community. I'm proud to announce that the Montgomery County Coroner's Office has officially received accreditation by the International Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners. So we worked hard on this. This prestigious recognition places us among a distinguished group of agencies nationwide that meet the highest standards in forensic science, public service, and operational integrity. Accreditation enhances our credibility, strengthens public trust, and affirms our commitment to best practices. It also gives us a competitive edge in securing grant funding and significantly boosts employee morale and professional development. This milestone is a reflection of the dedication and the professionalism of our entire team, which is led by our wonderful senior leadership team here, and as well as the capabilities of our new state-of-the-art facility. So if you haven't come by, please come by and visit us so we can show off our facility. We remain, what's that? I don't want to go there yet. You're going to come live, though, okay? All right. So we remain deeply committed to serving the residents of Montgomery County with integrity, transparency, and compassion. So thank you all for your time and your continued support for the Montgomery County Coroner's Office.
Thank you.
Dr. Darby, I'm not sure if you mentioned or not, but this is the first time, right? The department never won this or was accredited before?
That is correct.
So I just want to throw that out.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say congratulations to you. It's been an honor to work with you the last year and a half. The work you and your team have done to continue to professionalize the office, your community engagement and outreach, the programming. I'm just honored to work alongside you. And I know any accreditation process is daunting and laborious, but you made it to the other side of it. So congrats to you and the entire team.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for always taking it to the next level and
Always.
showing us what we can do.
Yes,
Thank you.
always.
Appreciate it.
Can we take a picture with you all?
Please, come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on up.
Well, why don't you stand next to Dr.
One, two, three.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We're next going to hear an update on our overdose prevention billboard winner from Jennifer Garrett and HHS Drug and Alcohol.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Garrett, and I'm with the Office of Drug and Alcohol. Along with me is Kelly Weaver.
And I'm the Drug and Alcohol Prevention Coordinator for Family Services.
And what we are going to do is announce our first place winner.
So our first place winner this year was Caitlin May, and she's a 12th grade student from Documented Bank Academy. And then displayed is her artwork. Unfortunately, she was unable to attend today, but we just wanted to announce her artwork on her behalf.
And the Office of Drug and Alcohol has been sponsoring this since 2017. We do encourage the high school students to submit their artwork, have a positive spin, and then we do have the national hotline number as well on all of the submissions.
Yep.
We did have over 40 submissions.
Yep.
And Caitlin is our winner.
And then her artwork will be displayed on 12 locations throughout Montgomery County.
Congratulations. Thank you. With that, we will move on to Matt Phillips and Latoya Myers, joining us from OISP and the Office of Drug and Alcohol.
So we wanted to come today. I'm Latoya Myers. I'm on the Office of Innovation, Strategy, and Performance.
I'm Matt Phillips. I'm from the Office of Drug and Alcohol.
And so we wanted to give an update on the opioid settlements, particularly our very first competitive application process. And on June 5th, the Pennsylvania Trust made their decisions on the projects that we submitted. And so we wanted to first kind of give a timeline of where we came from to get to that June 5th meeting. Next slide, please. So this is basically the timeline. What we're really going to focus on is that September through the present period and really hone in on the competitive application process that resulted in some really great projects that are going to be able to kind of fill in some gaps in the meshwork of drug and alcohol, specific opioid related activities that we're going to be able to do across Montgomery County. Next slide, please. So we started this process with a community survey, which we will have a full report. We're working on a draft right now, looking at the final draft of that to be able to disseminate. But as I said before, this really is a collaborative process between our two offices, the Office of Innovation, Strategy, and Performance, and the Office of Drug and Alcohol, with every step of this. So with that community survey, we really wanted to get input. The community survey was very much structured because the settlements have strict requirements by law that we have to abide by. And so it was structured based on the document itself to be able to give community input, but input that would then be useful later on that would keep us within the laws and the regulations. We next had the open application window that was from November 1st to December 31st. And in that window, we received 47 proposals, of which 39 were submitted to the trust for a decision on their end. We had a great group of community reviewers. That's really why we wanted to do this update today, is to honor these community reviewers who put a lot of time, effort, and energy. A number of them are in the audience today. And so if you all would like to stand up, I would love for you to take part in this because you were integral to this process. So our community reviewers, either self-identified and or it could be a number in these categories, but individuals with lived or living OUD experience, individuals with family members with lived or living OUD experience, or a professional who works in the field of OUD. And so we are really proud of this group and the time, effort, and energy, dedication they put into this process. They each reviewed applications individually and then did a debriefing session. There was 3 reviewers per application, and so this took a lot of time out of their schedules to be able to give their input into this process, not even including the number of training sessions that they had to go through to even understand the rubric, understand what the trust really wanted us to do, and also understand what the settlement said we had to be able to do. Next slide, please. So that being said, at every stage we integrated community input. So that community survey wasn't just something we collected the survey and we put the results on the shelf. We utilized that in the scoring rubric that each of these community reviewers used to be able to bring the projects forward that actually would make the biggest impact, that we felt would make the biggest impact in opioid remediation across Montgomery County. And so just wanted to kind of state that piece of things, but also we wanted to use our internal expertise. So we use both local data as well as national data to kind of hone in on some areas that our drug and alcohol team pointed out were gaps or could use a little more focus in the areas as well. So we had both our internal expertise, national data, plus community input that went into the scoring rubric that was used to get us to the point where we have some approved projects. Next slide, please. And so, as I said, I went through some of these things. We had 39 projects that we submitted to the trust for approval. 29 of those received approval on that June 5th meeting. It was a public meeting. What they essentially do is the trust runs down every single project from, they start with Adams County, they eventually get to us, and run down every single project and make that announcement. It is a public meeting. Anyone's welcome to attend those. 29 on that date were approved. We had 2 that were deemed non-compliant. We're very confident we can get those over the threshold through the appeals process. And then we have 8 that are still under consideration. I just need a little more information. But as I said, we are very confident we can get all 39 over the threshold, but it's going to take a little bit longer with the other ones. Next slide, please. And so this slide we'll run through. These are just the 39 projects that received approval on that June 5th meeting. And just this is their first time kind of putting them out publicly. And so that is all we have for today, but just wanted to again acknowledge these community reviewers, because if they were not willing and able to put in the work that they did in a very tight timeline so that we can meet the trust deadline, we would not get here to be able to present the final approved projects from the trust.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you all for your work to supporting us.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's been a long road to get here, and it's, important that, this came out of the settlement. I've worked on this case for so many years, and it's taken, a long time to get the resources into the communities to help people, and it's, amazing to see that it's going to be driven by people who have the experience and know what's working best. So thank you for making that happen here. Anything else? So next, we'll move on to public comment. This is only public comment on today's pending votes, resolutions, bids, RFPs, and contracts. We'll have another comment section for general comments after we get through the contracts. Are there any comments on the agenda items? Okay, so there are none. So we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the June 5th, 2025 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting? Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye. The minutes are approved. Moving on to our first resolution. Scott France, our Director of Planning, will present that. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for having me. We have 2 contracts up for approval. This is our Community Planning Assistance Program, where we provide professional planning, consultation, and work for municipalities within the county. These 2 will bring us up to 37 total communities of the 62 in the county opting for these services. And these are I'm especially proud to announce these because they are 2 new townships that have not had our services in the recent past. So we welcome them to this process. The first is Upper Frederick Township. This contract actually was initiated on April 1st of 2025. These are all 3-year contracts by design, so it will extend to March 31st, 2028. We're looking forward to working with them on both flexible assistance at the direction of their township supervisors, and we'll focus initially upon a rewrite of the zoning code in coordination with the Central Perkiomen Valley Regional Comprehensive Plan. Our second, and I'm sorry, then that contract is valued at a total cost for 3 years of $75,284, with a 50% share by the municipality of $37,642. The second township is White Marsh, and their contract officially begins July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2028. This contract will involve updating the township zoning code, drafting an affordable housing memo, updating the subdivision and land development ordinance, grant assistance, and other support as directed by the township supervisors. And that contract is in total cost of $109,032 with the municipal share of $54,516. If you have any questions,
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve resolution number 1 as described by Mr. Scott France?
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next resolution, presented by Ann Levitt Gruberger and our Planning Commission.
Good morning, Commissioners. So the Montgomery County Farmland Preservation Program was presented with a little bit of a unique opportunity in that we have been bequeathed a farm. A small farm, about 10 acres in Lower Frederick Township, from an individual who recently passed away and does not have any heirs. We have appraised this property and find that the market value of the property is about $260,000, and when preserved, which is the intent of the will, has a property value of about $115,000. But in order to move forward with this preservation process, the county commissioners are being asked to authorize the acceptance of the transfer of this land from the estate of Mr. Harold Kaiser. Once that is done, we will work with the estate executor to transfer the property and to preserve it and add it to the county's farmland preservation program.
Great. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve resolution number 2 as described by Ms. Ann Levitt Gruberger?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, moving on to authorization to submit an emergency solutions grant application with Kelly Silver, our Director of Housing and Community Development.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to respectfully request your approval of a resolution authorizing Montgomery County to apply for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's 2025 Emergency Solutions Grant administered by the Department of Community and Economic Development. As you know, the ESG program established under the Federal Hearth Act provides critical funding to support services for individuals and families experiencing homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. While Montgomery County receives its own ESG entitlement of approximately $275,000 from HUD, this application will seek an additional $600,000 in competitive state ESG funds to further strengthen our efforts. These funds will directly support our street outreach, rapid rehousing, and emergency housing programs, which are essential components of our Your Way Home strategy to address homelessness across the county. In accordance with the grant requirements, the county must provide 100% match, another $600,000, which we will provide out of our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Community Development Block Grant Entitlement, and or the PHFA Fair Program, demonstrating our commitment to these vital services. So I respectfully ask for your support in adopting this resolution, which is required for the grant application, so we can move forward with the application and continue to provide life-saving services.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Seems non-controversial. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 3 as described by Ms. Kelly Silver?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Tony Brew, our Director of Human Resources, on the personnel list.
Good morning, Commissioners. You have in front of you the final copy of the Commissioner Department's personnel list. It's a 3-page document dated June 17, 2025, with a timestamp of 8:03 a.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for your consideration.
Great. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the June 18, 2025 personnel presentation as given by Mr. Tony Brew?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved.
Thank you.
The personnel list is approved. So, moving on to bids and RFPs. Is there a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit A?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to awards of contract. Is there a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit B? Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to the Southeast PA Regional Task Force. Is there a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs for the Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit C?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeBello. Is there a second?
Second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Moving on to awards of contract for the Regional Task Force. Is there a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for the Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit D?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeBello, seconded by Commissioner Winder. Is any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So moving on to general public comment. Do we have any commenters?
Andy Ludicio. Andy?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Dr. Andy Ladicio, and I live in Lafayette Hill. I appreciate the time to speak on behalf of the Welcoming Act. So as a resident of Montgomery County, I've lived in numerous other states and counties, and I'm really grateful for the diversity and community that I found within Montgomery County. Many of my loved ones are part of the immigrant community, and I speak here for them, along with those who are part of the greater Philadelphia and Montgomery County community that are bettered by their presence. I'm urging you to pass the Welcoming Act, as this act ensures that all residents, regardless of immigration status, can live in safety and dignity without fear of local government involvement and federal immigration enforcement. This act matters because it helps public safety. When people fear deportation, they're less likely to report crimes, seek medical help, or interact with authorities. This act builds trust and makes the whole community safer. It also helps with local control. This act reinforces local resources like county police and services, and they should be used to serve the community, not do the work of federal immigration agents. This also supports economic and social strength. Immigrants are essential to Montgomery County's economy, culture, and future. Immigrants paid $13.6 billion into federal, state, and local taxes in 2023. That's an average of $13,000 per person. And undocumented folks themselves contributed $523 million in state and local taxes in 2022. Those were the latest statistics I could find. This act allows families to remain together, allows people to participate fully in civic life, and offers dignity to all families. It does not make Montgomery County a sanctuary city in the legal sense, but it does protect residents from unnecessary harm. I believe this act reflects the best of Montgomery County, our commitment to being a place for all people, regardless of immigration status, and it supports and invests in our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next comment?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Vincent, and I am a third-generation Montgomery County resident. I live in King of Prussia, and I am an activist and community organizer with Community for Change. I first want to say thank you to Nellie, to Commissioner Weiner, to Commissioner Mejia, thank you, for all the work that you have been doing on this issue. I know that you guys care deeply about the people of Montgomery County. I know that you are not our enemies and that you are working for the people hard and tirelessly every day. I am so happy to hear that you did add an employee policy to protect us so that your county employees will not work with ICE. The one issue that we have with that policy is the policy is something that can be changed any day. So tomorrow that could be changed again. So I think that's something we need to think about and that you need to think about, that it's not, and I understand that there's fears around funding, that there's fears on political capital, but I think that this moment is the time that we need to stand up. So here's my ask to you on this issue and on future issues. We are in a moment right now that is not a normal political climate. This is not a moment where the compromise, where we need to just think about our political futures or think about Harrisburg. There's a time now where you may be asked to stand up and do something to put yourself a little bit on the line because it's for people. This is not politics as normal, and that's my ask of you, is to stand up with us. Also, there has been, I'm glad you pushed the Employee Act, because last night in Phoenixville, I know that's not Montgomery County, but police officers called ICE on people in Phoenixville. Earlier this month, police officers in Plymouth meeting called ICE on people. So we need this for county employees. But everybody here and everybody online listening, please go talk to your local municipalities too, because we have to make sure that they all know, that all these police officers know, that we don't work with ICE. We don't go beyond the legal boundaries of what we do with ICE. Thank you.
Peg Idle?
Idle. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Peg Idle. I actually live in Skippack, and it's the first time I've attended a meeting like this. And I'm here because I also support the Welcoming Act. But I'm going to take a different tact, because I think you all appreciate the moment in time that we're in right now. So I'm going to talk about fear. I know fear firsthand. We've all experienced fear. It can be fleeting. You thought it was a snake, turned out it was a stick. Moment of fear. I had a critically ill son who was in the hospital for 2 years. I lived in constant fear. I'm happy to report he got a heart and liver transplant. It's been almost 5 years. He's doing great. But I know what it means to live in fear. It's dread. And we have citizens in Montgomery County right now who are living in fear. And we have an opportunity to put them at ease. Somebody mentioned at the beginning, I think, you were the one that said something about the importance of justice for all. We stand up and we pledge to the flag. Liberty and justice extends to all of the citizens of Montgomery County. And we as citizens and you as our leaders have to remember that in everything that we do. So we've already seen that this administration is okay governing using fear and force. The question now is, are we going to let them? I know you have fears about federal monies. I know you have fears about the implications of standing up for immigrants in this point in time. I understand that.
So can I just tell you that's not true?
What's not
I
true?
have never once stated that we are afraid of federal funding.
I'm
In
not
fact, we wrote
suggesting.
an op-ed that said we are not afraid of federal
And I
funding
did read that,
because
so
of
I
the
apologize.
constitutional rights that localities have. So there's just been a number of misstatements there, so.
My
just wanna
apologies.
clarify that.
I wasn't pointing to you or anyone on this board. There are people across America today who are operating out of fear because we have an administration who's chosen fear as a weapon. And I'm simply suggesting that we need to remain brave and stand up against it, because the only antidote to fear is love. And we have an opportunity to show that to all of the citizens of Montgomery County by going a little bit further. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. I appreciate hearing everything that I heard this morning about steps being taken to further our position in support of immigrants. I don't have a single immigrant person that I can share a story with. But I walk into businesses in this county every day. I've lived here my whole life. We are a county that is full of immigrants, and they deserve the same protections and rights and the same ability to live without fear every day. And I'm simply asking you to see if you can't go a little further.
So I think, so what I would say, and this is for everyone, we are demonstrating courage, the two of us. We have been out in front on this issue where other jurisdictions have been quiet. So I want everyone here that's an ally for the work that we're doing, recognizing that we have been out in front on this issue, doing things that Montgomery County has never done in support of our immigrant
And
community.
it is very
So-
much appreciated.
But I want everyone to understand, there are limitations of our office, and that's what's getting missed here. That's what's getting missed here. For people that are lay people, right, which and I appreciate why people are coming in, because it is disconcerting. It's horrible what's happening in our community, but lay people do not understand the inner workings of what we are allowed to do, right? Pennsylvania has made government very complicated, right? And so we have spent a lot of time, when we have a lot of other issues too that are plaguing the residents of Montgomery County on this one particular issue. So I want to encourage people to keep coming here, and I think Stephanie, she left, said it well. There are other electeds, jurisdictions that we should be talking to as well.
I mean, all the comments she made about police don't apply to the county, right? Those apply to municipalities, but the second issue is, we have a bill being passed in Congress right now, which provides $45 billion for migrant detention centers. That was approved by a member of Congress who represents part of Montgomery County. I don't know if any of the people in this room have gone to that member of Congress, but that's where you're going to make the most change.
I appreciate that.
People aren't responding, so we don't know where to go. So that's why we're here. We're reaching out to whoever we can talk to.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to close by thanking you for the work that you've done, because I know you're doing a lot of the right work. That was my intent. But also to ask the question, what more could we be doing, and what can we as citizens be doing to help? So if you have recommendations, whether you want to do that personally or publicly, there are people who are just as passionate about doing the right thing. And if there are people we need to reach, I'm retired. I'm happy to throw myself into the mix. I am not an elected official, but I absolutely care about the way we handle what's coming at us right now.
So I appreciate it, because I think you sound reasonable, and I know that there are people, who will send out a mass alert saying we're not doing enough, and that's their job, essentially. But the reality is, you're asking the question, right? And none of the people writing those, advocacy alerts are asking the question. And if you're asking what can we do, it's what I just noted, which is the member of Congress who's authorizing what's happening. Because right now, what DHS is doing is well beyond their budgetary and legal authority, and they're doing so without the authorization of Congress, and that will be provided by one vote in the U.S. Congress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jane Peekle. I'm a resident of Norristown. I am also here to speak with my friends in support of the Welcoming Counties ordinance. I'm told you cannot pass acts, but you can pass ordinances. And it does seem to me to be something that you, commissioners, can do in that vein of what we were just talking about. But I want to speak today mostly to Commissioner DeBello, because I understand you identify with the MAGA camp. And so I wanted to bring to your attention something that Trump said at a rally in December 2023. He said, quote, they let, I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into the country. And when they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. So now, in just the last week, as Commissioner Makisha talked about, we watched Senator Alex Padilla, who was forcibly removed, tackled to the ground, handcuffed, while trying to ask a question of Kristi Noem while the U.S. military was being used against Americans in California. You, Mr. DeBello, should also watch the footage of the New York City Comptroller, mayoral candidate Brad Lander, who was pushed against a wall and arrested by ICE thugs as he asked to see a warrant for the person he was escorting. He said, I won't let go of the person's arm when you show me a judicial warrant. He said, I You do not have the authority to arrest a U.S. citizen, so please watch the video. Now, if it's uncomfortable that I speak directly to you, please consider how uncomfortable those situations were for those elected officials. You represent a county with a large Latino population. Many of your constituents do have parents, family, friends who are undocumented. In my community, we have people who have been taken. We have a man who missed the birth of his child. We have people who are scared to go out of their homes. We have people posting, is it safe to attend graduation ceremony last week? We have ICE terrorizing people at the regional health center. And we have people with no criminal background detained. Now, Noam and Stephen Miller have a 3,000 a day quota nationally. So ICE is trying to meet that by taking people when they show up for their immigration hearings, taking people from the Home Depot parking lot. They focus on numbers, and this ironically means that ICE isn't actually doing the work to go after cartel leaders, for instance, because that's only one arrest. They got to get to 3,000 in a day. So Commissioner Davella, this is a free country, and you have the right to identify with MAGA or whatever that means to you on whatever day, whatever time. But I appeal to, one, your common sense. The Trump administration has said that they want people to have more babies because we need population growth. Meanwhile, we want to put 3,000 people a day behind bars and detention centers. Two, I appeal to you to meet this moment and show us that you know we're a nation of immigrants, that you admire the bravery of our own immigrant ancestors, and that you know that they are not poisoning the blood of our country. Thank you.
So first off, you're not making me feel uncomfortable. Second off, I don't have any control over what Secretary Noem or anybody else is doing in Washington. And third off, I've said time after time that I follow the law. And that doesn't mean I don't follow the law if I'm not comfortable, if I don't like it. The laws, if we're not comfortable with the laws, they
Our
need to
president
change.
doesn't follow the law.
I have no control over
Our
that.
president is.
I have no control over that. I have
Doesn't follow
control
what federal
over, I have
judges-
control over what I stand for and what I believe in. And I believe in following the law. My
You
great-grandparents
need to
were immigrants. They came here legally through Ellis Island. It's just like many immigrants here in Montgomery County. We have over 100,000 immigrants that are here in Montgomery County. And I represent all of them. But I follow the law. It's straightforward, it's simple as that. There's many laws on the books that I may not agree with, but I still follow it.
Which law specifically are you
And
speaking?
sorry, if
Do you
you
follow?
don't mind, because you made your comment, we can't have a back and forth. He's allowed to make a comment at any time, but
You keep
I'll have
saying
to
laws.
stop.
You
I'll
just
have to
keep saying,
stop.
I would like clarification.
Immigration laws.
A
There's a process
clarification
to
on
coming
that
into
in
this
a-
country.
at a later
There's a
I'll have
process
to-
for coming into this country. And I support the legal immigration process for coming into this country. It's plain simple.
Well, Trump just bypassed
I don't have control over Trump.
the white Afrikaners
I
who
have
got
no
asylum.
control over that.
We'll have to move on to the next comment. Thank
Colette
you.
Penland.
Colette Penland, Skipback Township. I come this Wednesday Commissioners meeting, having watched all of the 2025 Commissioners meetings on YouTube due to my Thursday work schedule. As a Montgomery County taxpayer, I have some questions. Where's the need for this welcoming committee coming from? Has Montgomery County been unwelcoming to its Italian and Hispanic community for the last few decades? If so, why have we waited until now to use taxpayer funds to create this committee and hire people in these positions? Do we not all live, excuse me, through the last 4 years, watching millions of people flood the U.S. borders? Of course, not all were known gang members and human traffickers and rapists and murderers. Not all were criminals of foreign countries given undocumented entry into the United States, but many were. This is who ICE is targeting. Those are the criminals the duly elected president of his proxies are working to remediate. I'm not sure why 2 out of 3 of our county commissioners would choose to not assist the federal government with this process of ridding Montgomery County of this element who has invaded our borders, addressing the worst first. If you're not in fear of losing federal funding, I have to ask, what's your plan to recuperate this potentially lost funding, millions, to the tune of millions of dollars, this deficit that's going to fall on county taxpayers?
We're not losing federal funding.
Great, good. I would think that all county residents support dangerous criminals in our country being captured and deported. You really want to go there? We have had, is this okay for the audience to address?
You got a minute, go ahead.
We have had processes in place to legally enter the United States for decades, and that process needs to continue to be followed to protect every citizen. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a couple of things I want to say here. I do want to note that if you are concerned about crime, I would be concerned about the 1,200 criminals who were pardoned on the first day of this festival. Some of whom have gone on to commit further crimes. And, you know, I think it's important to recognize that the president himself said this past week, in an absurd statement, that industry leaders in the agricultural industry, the hotel industry, and the restaurant industry commented and told him that they were losing good people and that he found that persuasive and that the policy should be changed. So he's comfortable when his friends who are exploiting workers and underpaying undocumented people, you know, are profiting, and he's going to change policy based on that. Meanwhile, you know, there's a claim that it has something to do with, you know, lawful immigration versus unlawful immigration. It's not. It's about who's benefiting from what. And just to clarify the questions, and I have to say this again, there has been a recognized constitutional right for a locality to serve its residents as we see best fit, and we're not a regional arm of the federal government. There's nothing illegal. There's nothing, in fact, this is very much in line with the law, and that's what we outlined in our op-ed. So I have no concerns over an attempt which we saw appear and then disappear in terms of the list of localities that were being targeted by this administration. I do believe there is a functioning judiciary in the country, and should there be an unconstitutional attempt to deprive us of our rights, we will litigate that in court and we'll succeed. Go ahead.
Sue Ann DeVito.
Hi, everybody. I'm a little hot about that last set of commentary because as we're hearing that, and we're hearing from Commissioner DeBello about lawlessness, the lawlessness is these mass strangers in our streets taking our people and disappearing them from their families with no due process and no regard for their life. It's just unfathomable. So in this moment, I want to thank Commissioners Winder and McKeisha and Nellie, I don't know if she's still here, who have been working with us, some local community members and advocates since January. I think I came knocking on their doors early on after the administration was changing to figure out how we can best protect those members of our community, the most vulnerable amongst us. And you have made some great steps, and I truly appreciate it. And I realize that the broader public does not know about all of these meetings and all of the work that's been being done behind the scenes. And I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for the policies that you announced today, and I hope that we can figure out a way to memorialize them in a way that continues to protect the community. And I would urge all of my ally friends and the commissioners who are willing to keep working together. The person we want to work against is not actually in our community. right? And we all need to stand together in this fight. So thank you.
Edward Lee.
Good morning. My name is Edward Jonguk Lee. I'm a proud resident of Montgomery County and board member of Woody Center. I'm here today to speak on behalf of many immigrant family, workers, and small business owners who lives. I shared and witnessed people who call this country home and deserve to feel safe and valued and welcome. First, I want to thank you to the Montgomery County Commissioners to their public statement opposing 2A7G agreement. That statement was a necessary and meaningful first step on important rejection of ICE collaboration and a declaration of solidarity with our immigrant neighbors. But a statement alone is not enough. World must be backed by action. That's why I'm here today to urge the commissioners to go further and pass the former welcoming policy ordinance, one that is unenforceable, unaccountable, and lasting. We know we have a power to do this. The authority to protect our community is already in your hand. Now we ask you to use it. Anything short on ordinance, anything short on real policy is not acceptable. Because while we wait, our communities are suffering. Since January, we center staff and volunteers have spoken with more than 250 community members across the Montgomery County, parents, workers, and small business owners. Again and again, we heard the same messages. People are afraid. They are afraid to go to work, afraid to go to a grocery store, afraid to take their children to school or go to the doctors when they are sick. Small business owners are feeling it too. Fewer customers and quieter weekends, empty parking lot, and fear is impacting not only our neighbors but also our local economy. On Friday, June 6, around 9 p.m., I was called from the Louisiana staff asking me to come to the Montgomery County Correctional Facility. I rushed there with a friend and joined a group of about 30 people who gathering outside. Since MCCF amended its policy to require the judicial warrant when they collaborate with Federal Immigrant Authority, we have been cautiously hopefully. We're still working to see the final policy to confirm that these changes truly reflect that was announced. If this is marked end of IC detention in Montgomery County, it will be the hard-won victory by the community for the community. But this is just the beginning, removing 4-hour IC holding on the step forward, because immigration is not a Kremlin matter, it's a civic one. If Montgomery County is truly committed to ending the IC collaboration to welcome the immigrant and to protect the family, we must be codified that commitment. We must build a lasting system through the policy, not promises. We urge the commissioners to do what's right. Pass the welcome policy and protect our community. Let's be the county where no one to have to live in fear and where our values are upholded in law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Iman?
Good morning, everyone, commissioners and our guests. I just want to say thank you. I sat here last month, and within a month's time, I marvel at all of the things the commissioners have been doing, have accomplished, and the works they have in progress. I came on behalf, of course, of the welcoming policy. I understand, and I think many of us do understand, that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not that they have the only voice in making this happen. So we have to give them time, continue to support them, be vocal, but we also have to be patient. So all I really wanted to say was thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Jasmine Bailey. Jasmine.
So I'm here in support of the welcoming ordinance, but I did also want to introduce a couple of things that I do appreciate what you're doing right now with regards to the welcoming ordinance. And I understand, as you've mentioned, you do have limited authority to do things to be able to help the immigrant community. But I do think one of the things that can really help is creating a Montgomery County Municipal ID program. Something like that a municipal ID would bring immigrant workers into the formal economy, increasing tax compliance and reducing the table employment. This would protect not only the undocumented immigrants, but also continue to strengthen our general economy. Something like this could be issued to all residents regardless of immigrant status. It could accept foreign consular documents and other alternative forms of identification. It could provide access to library cards. Library cards provide access to education. It could also provide transit benefits and things like discounts at local businesses. Sorry, I'm a little heated right now because also of the previous comment that was made that was very inflammatory. Overall, I do think that there are several things that can be done at a municipality level. One of them being that, another one being a legal defense and rapid response system. Something like that could be established to create something like a rapid response hotline that could contract with immigrant law firms for emergency representation. It could also train county staff on rapid response protocols and partner with community organizations for Know Your Rights education. Also, something like a language access and integration service could expand translator services across all county departments. It could establish English as second language programs at community colleges. It could create citizen preparation classes, develop multilingual resource centers, and partner with libraries, again, access to education, for language access programs. Also developing workforce protection and development program at a county level could establish an Office of Labor Standards to investigate things like wage theft, which does happen a lot to undocumented immigrants. It could create anonymous reporting system for workplace violators. It could partner with unions and worker centers for education and develop job training programs targeted at immigrant communities. And it could enforce fair labor standards regardless of immigration status. There's a lot of things that can be done at a county level because at the end of the day, no immigrant wants to come here undocumented. The fact is that there are quotas that preference white countries that have a lower populations than non-white countries. There's also a systemic history of America creating policies that disenfranchise certain countries and then create a further system of violence within those countries. It's ironic that something like MS-13, which is the big scary gang that keeps being mentioned to justify all of these family separations.
We're out of time, but we'll have to move on. But thank you for your comment. Go ahead.
Okay, next up, Nishant Dani.
Hi, I'm Nishant. I live in Ambler, and I want to take the opportunity to come speak on behalf of the welcoming ordinance as well. I think everyone before me covered it, some of the big talking points that I had more eloquently than I could have, so I wanted to appeal to some of the things that came up during this meeting. Commissioner DeBello, you mentioned how important following the law is to you, and we heard that this ordinance does follow the law, but on the flip side, judges have shown time and again that ICE and the president's executive orders are not following the law, especially on immigration. So by helping them, we're essentially abetting law breaking by deporting people without authorization. We all saw what happened with men sent to the prison that they had to bring back. We wouldn't want that to happen to people in our community. So that's why I'm here to support the welcoming ordinance. The other thing I wanted to state was that, one of the previous commenters said that, some of these immigrants are, criminals, violent criminals, but I think that's, generalizing based on a very small number of people. For example, the recent violent act by someone with very strong, alt-right rhetoric against a lawmaker, I wouldn't say that all Republicans are violent criminals, and I wouldn't say all immigrants are violent criminals. It's just a poor generalization to make.
That was a Democrat, by the way, not a Republican.
And the registered Republican shot at Trump, so.
Yeah, let's not get into this back and forth. We don't do that here.
Yeah.
Members in the audience go back and forth at each other.
That's fair, but I think that we do have the right as a county to not always be supporting exactly what the federal government does. It's our state sovereignty, it's our local sovereignty that we want to protect, and we definitely don't want to do it to help acts that are considered unconstitutional after the fact.
That's for the courts to figure out.
Yeah, but they have stated that on multiple occasions that
That's for the
these are.
courts. It's outside of what I personally have influence over. So that's that's why I said earlier, I follow the law, and when the law changes, I'm more happy to follow that law.
So, and we heard that the law is clear on this one from the solicitor.
We don't have a welcoming ordinance, so I don't know what you're referring to. There's a policy that I said that I want to look closer at, that's all I stated. But I want to look at it and see if it has a conflict with the Immigration Act that President Clinton signed into law. That's all I said. I didn't say it was illegal. I said there were many aspects of it are legal and follow the law that I could support. I just want to look at it closer because I just got the final version this morning. That's all I said.
And I think if you find that it is legal, I want you to know that a lot of your constituents do support it, and that it will really help our community.
Because if I just saw it this morning, then they don't know what it even states.
Well, we know.
So the policy is just a reflection of what was written 30 days ago, which is requiring a judicial warrant. That's essentially what it is.
So,
yeah.
In that case, so thank you.
Doug Ferguson.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here on behalf of Acclamo and our Interim Executive Director, Beatrice Gaziba. Good morning to my esteemed guests, community members, and those in the audience this morning. I'm here today on behalf of Acclamo, an organization with decades of proud service to Montgomery County. For over 48 years, Acclamo has worked on the side by side with the community, supporting families, uplifting immigrants, and opening doors to education, health, workforce development, housing, and opportunity. We have seen firsthand how access, dignity, and compassion transform lives. As we know, the lasting changes requires partnership. That is why we are here today, not only to express our deep gratitude, but also honor the leadership and the vision of the Montgomery County Commissioners. Thank you for your commitment to Montgomery County continues to be a place where people of all backgrounds, regardless of origin, language, or circumstance, can build a life with dignity and hope. Your work has made the county a better, safer, and more inclusive place for all of its people. We at Acclamo remain a steadfast partner and resource. We are proud to stand with you to continue our shared fight for freedom, liberty, and justice for all. On behalf of the families we serve, the elders we honor, the children we educate, and the immigrants we walk beside, we say thank you. Happy Immigrants Heritage Month to all. Let's keep celebrating the economic, cultural, social impact of our communities together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We're moving on to Zoom. We have Anne Marie Giacchio. Anne Marie, can you hear us?
Yes, I was just unmuting. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Marie Giacchio. I was raised in West Norton. I live in Conshohocken, and I am the great-granddaughter of immigrants. I was lucky enough to know my father's maternal grandmother and hear her story of immigrating to the United States. As a teenage girl, my great-grandmother came to the United States of America on a boat by herself from Italy in search of a better life for herself and her future family. I cannot imagine how frightened she was to embark on that journey alone, to come to a country where she didn't know the language or the customs. Nor can I know how excited she was to make her way in this new land of opportunity and hope. My great-grandmother came through Ellis Island. She did not have documentation. She did not have papers. She was welcomed here because she came hoping for the American dream. My great-grandmother got married. She had children. Her daughter, my grandmother, learned English in school. She graduated from high school and became the assistant to the president of a company in Manhattan. Her eldest grandson, my father, was the first in his family to graduate from college. In 2022, her great-great-granddaughter competed for the United States ski team in the Beijing Olympics. None of this would have been possible if she was hunted down in the streets by masked armed men, thrown into a van, and taken to a detention center and sent back to Italy or worse. At the beginning of this meeting, Commissioner DeBello said how awful it feels to have to be looking over his shoulder because he doesn't feel safe after a nationalist assassinated two members of Minnesota's legislature. I am a teacher. I understand the visceral fear of being shot because of my career and of my students being shot because they are at school. And I think of the abject terror immigrants are experiencing right now, that heavily armed masked men might grab them off the streets and the government will send them to another country or prison. The fear that they will never see or speak with their families again because they aspire to the American dream. I'm here today to urge you to do what you are able to do to preserve the American dream by passing in the welcoming ordinance or policy or act or whatever you want to call it. We must not submit to hate and to violence against those whose path was blazed by our ancestors. Pass the Welcoming Act policy and be that beacon of hope. Do not comply with the ideology of hate and fear coming from our federal administration right now. History will note what we did in this crucial moment. Your job as our elected representatives is to lift us up. We cannot lift ourselves up while holding others down. Please pass the welcoming policy and start lifting us all up out of these dark times. Thank you for your consideration.
Jolene Fosco on Zoom.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jolene, and I live in Schwenksville. I'm here to urge you to support the Welcoming Committee's ordinance. This act would help ensure that all residents, regardless of immigration status, feel safe accessing services, reporting crimes, and being part of our community without fear. When local agencies are focused on public safety, not immigration enforcement, trust grows, and our whole county becomes stronger and safer. Montgomery County should be a place where fairness, dignity, and inclusion are more than just words. I ask you to support the Welcoming Act and help make that a reality. I also ask you to please let us know that what we can do to help support all of our immigrants in our county. Thank you.
Okay, the last person on Zoom, Adrian Seltzer. Adrian, can you hear us?
Hi, Adrian Seltzer of Wynwood. I want to thank you guys for all the work you're doing and everybody said everything I was more eloquently than I could have. But I would like to know specifically what we should ask our local township and boroughs to do, and whether that covers magisterial district justices too. Like if someone's coming in for small claims, has a small claims case, to make sure that ICE, they don't send them to ICE because the plaintiff finds out that they're undocumented, and so I want to make sure that people are safe everywhere in the county. So what exactly can we do? Thank you. And thank you so much for all the work you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Any other comments? All right. Let's see if we're just got anything else. Any closing comments? Should we go first? I'll go last. I always go last.
Okay, all right. So I'll be brief. I know we've been here for a couple of hours. Always grateful to people that take the time out of their busy days to come here and hear about the work of the county. And I just want to honor and again acknowledge the fact that these are difficult times that we're living in. These are times that I've never seen in my 4 decades of being on this, 4 decades plus of being on this earth. You know, but every day that I come to work, I think about I'm raising a biracial son. I'm the great-great-granddaughter of indentured servants. And I think about, even in 2025, what I experience because of the color of my skin, even with all of the successes that I've had in my career and in my life. And so, while we don't always get it right, we're not always perfect in terms of the things that we do, I know that I'm not afraid to stand up for what is right. And it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. There are things that are happening in our community that are just plain wrong. And we cannot be complicit in allowing these horrible, and I'm not just talking about immigration, I'm just talking about like the racists, the bigots, the homophobes, the laundry list of things that are happening to people in this community. None of us can be complicit. And so if you come here and you're ignorant and you're a racist and you're a homophobe and you're a bigot, you need to take a hard look in the mirror. Because this county is beautiful. And it's beautiful because of its diversity. And so every day that I come to work, I'm fighting for all of you. Regardless of who you love, regardless of your immigration status, regardless of what you look like, I'm here for all of you. And although we're not the epitome of perfection here, I will not be complicit. And I will toe party lines. I will do what's right for the future that I wish for my 5-year-old son. So I need all of my colleagues, which, you know, like regardless of who you voted for president, you need to stand up for what's right. I'm done.
You're good. Look, I'll just say I think what's very important, thank you for everything shared. Look, this is a very difficult time, and people feel hopeless, and they feel as if what's happening is out of their control. And what I hope is that we could direct that energy towards places where we can make a difference. And some of the folks asked about what could we do, and I really want to remind everyone that what is happening federally is, you know, just one vote away, you know, from being authorized or not authorized. And if you look at the policies that are being implemented, you know, they're just, you know, one vote away in the U.S. Congress from being approved or not approved. And and right now, it's all happening without any authorization, right? All of the changes that DHS has implemented, all of the spending that they're doing is without congressional authorization. They've gone far beyond that. And so their attempt is to coerce localities into spending our funds to enforce their policy. And that's why we've been very clear that we are not deputizing our officials to enforce immigration. And we made that clear 30 days ago. And there are many ways in which that will be implemented, including the policy that was distributed today. But we're not going to be signing any agreements like other localities or counties are in Pennsylvania to turn our jail into a detention facility for immigration. That's not happening. And what I want to, you know, share with, you know, some of the folks who, you know, spoke today is that, you know, I understand the activists who wrote the model policy want to see their model policy passed. Who wouldn't, right? But our job is not to take a model and just pass it thoughtlessly. And I'm not going to do that if anyone comes to us for any policy, right? Lobbyists do it all the time, pass this thing. We don't do that, right? We look at what's there and we develop our own policies or set of policies that are best serving our residents. And the 10 things that I started this meeting with, and by the way, we've got many more, are an example of the things that are totally neglected from that model policy that, you know, is being advocated for. No one's talking about small business and entrepreneurship and how we're supporting immigrants. No one, you know, in that policy thought about community centers and wellness and human services. You know, no one mentioned that, you know, for the bulk of immigrants who are in fact citizens and do have the right to vote, we can make that process more welcoming and accessible. So I think what we're doing is much more robust than passing a policy that was probably written in 2017, right? So I'm very proud of the work that Nellie has done to establish those comprehensive, you know, policies, and that takes a lot of time. She's been here less, you know, 90 days. Think about the 3,000 people who work in this county, the 36 departments. How many departments do we have? 35 departments. Even just sitting down with each department head is pretty much one conversation per day since we wrote the op-ed, right? Let's say you meet with 5 a day. You still have to follow up and talk about what that looks like. But I think, you know, she's done a great job to ensure that across the board, we're representing every resident of our community. You know, we're doing the things that we can within, you know, our authorities, and we're being much more thoughtful than if we just pass something that was written 10 years ago, almost. So, you know, that's very much, you know, the work that's being done. But, you know, and I never talk, I always joke with Jamila, I need to remind people that I am a human being, and, you know, I'm very much often focused on the policy. And obviously, I'm the son of immigrants. I grew up in an immigrant family in rural Pennsylvania at a time where we saw, you know, especially after 9/11 in the South Asian community, people were targeted with discrimination, assumed that they, you know, were somehow associated with what happened, even though there's nothing there. And I think, you know, it's very much my understanding and experience. Someone asked the question, oh, why do we have to focus on this? It's because there's people in our community who are not treated as they should be. And in fact, there are US citizens who are now having conversations about carrying passports or not, because they're worried that they will get scooped up in a raid, which is propelled by this quota of the president's desire to expel more citizens than, has ever happened in the country's history. When what we, really need is a recognition of the reality that for decades, people and families have lived here, they've become essential parts of the community, and there needs to be a pathway to citizenship. That's not going to happen unless we get Congress there. So I would very much ask all of the activists, the advocates, to think about that, to think about how there's just, 2 members of Congress adjacent to Montgomery County or representing Montgomery County, if you count the Lehigh Valley too, who could play a pivotal role in steering the ship in a direction where the country is inclusive, where we recognize the values of all of our residents, including our immigrant communities, and that is within our power, and that is something that you can do, and something that we will work with you on. Thank you. So, with that, I will ask, is there a motion to adjourn the June 18th meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor? Aye. Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. All right.
Did you?
We have a salary board meeting. We still have one more meeting. It's a quick meeting. So we're going to move on to salary board. It's a quick meeting.
How are you? If everyone can sit down really quickly, we can just have, we have a quick.
To see you live as well. Thank you.
If we have a salary board meeting, if you need to scoot quickly, we're doing, get up quickly.
It's just, we gave this already, and I think that this is, yeah, the committee is not meeting. Right. It's a Zoom meeting. You should have broke it up, but they definitely did
Okay.
If you're not staying for salary board. Thank you.
Help everybody out.
Okay, so call to order the meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board, starting with the presentation from Mr. Tony Drew.
Good morning, members of the Salary Board. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Salary Board list. It is a 4-page document dated June 17, 2025, with a timestamp of 8:03 a.m. Officers have been reviewed and accounted for your consideration.
Okay, any questions? Oh, actually, we didn't have any public comment yet. Do we have comments? Okay. I was hoping we had public comment. Okay, is there a motion to approve the January 18th, 2025 presentation of the Montgomery County Salary Board?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Controller Hart. Any board comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. The motion is approved. The salary board is approved. Thank you. Okay. With that, any closing comments? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the June 18, 2025 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Winder, seconded by Controller Hart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned.
Great.
That's it.